What goes up, finish the sentence with me, must come down. What are we talking about? Well, find out on this week's edition of Financial Fact Friday. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Mark Squires. I am the president of Wise Choices Financial, located in the Kansas City area, and you have tuned in for yet another week of Financial Fact Friday. We're in the middle of a long series of financial definitions, and last week we did the big scary word recession. Now I'm going to do another big scary word, and that is inflation. It's all over the news. It's inflation, 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 inflation. It's not the first time it's happened, people. I am 60 years old. In my lifetime, way back about 50 years ago, we had this thing called the Arab oil embargo. And we had gas lines, and gas got real expensive. It went from like 39 cents a gallon to 79 cents a gallon. You're thinking, I'd take that. Well, you think about what the economy was then, that was a big deal, and that was inflation. And then this magical thing happened about 1976, and I'm not talking about disco. What happened was the first wave of baby boomers came out to the market and they wanted to buy houses. And all of a sudden, there were more people buying houses than there were houses available. Supply and demand, guess what happened to the price of houses? Went way up really fast. And then there was a whole bunch of people out there who wanted to buy houses, meaning they had to borrow money, so there were more people wanting to borrow money than there was money supply. And so interest rates did what? They went up. And then in 1980, President Reagan named a guy named Paul Volcker to head the Fed, and he started raising interest rates, the Fed funds rate, and not quite as severe as what we've seen recently, but those interest rates kept going up and up and up and up and up. We had something called the prime rate that was above 18%. I think at one point it was almost 20%, meaning this was the amount of money that the Fed charged the banks to loan them money, and the banks are in business to do what, Jocelyn? Make more money. So they were jacking that up. So to get a home loan, to buy a house, we're talking 21, 22% interest, and people were still buying houses. Right? The economy slowed down. People were still buying houses. I bought my first house in 1990, and I was very responsible, and I had a great credit score, and I was good at paying my bills, and I had money in the bank, and yada, yada, yada. I got a 10.5% interest rate on the first house I bought, and I thought I was the man on the block. Perspective, people. This stuff happens. The markets cycle. The economy cycles. This is why for 3 years I have been screaming, get out of debt, manage your money, have an emergency plan. We have 2 entire generations alive today who have no idea what inflation is, and unfortunately they're getting a bath in it right now. Inflation is the decrease in purchasing power of currency over a given period of time. Isn't that a fancy definition? Let me help you. My wife likes something called an Americana. I do not understand this, but it is like espresso and coffee and water. So it's like watered down coffee. We've been married for 10 years, and when we first got married, an Americana was costing about $1.80 to $2. Today, it is about $4. That's inflation. Okay, there's 2 different kinds of inflation too. So if you go out to buy a pair of jeans, so I like a brand called Full Blue. You get them at Orscheln's. Okay, this is a great example. So jeans. When I bought my first pair of Full Blues about 4 years ago, they were $9.99. Today, they're $15.99. Exact same thing, right? That's inflation. So over the course of 3 or 4 years, they went up almost 50%. That's inflation. It cost me more dollars. The other side of that is, I'm going to call it the cornflakes factor. Are you familiar with the cornflakes factor? Here's the cornflakes factor. Box of cornflakes, right? And you pay $6 for that box of cornflakes. I don't know, I don't buy cornflakes, so if that's a stupid number, I'm sorry. Okay? But what's really cool is that's the exact same box that you've been buying for the last 5 years, but if you look at the bottom where it tells you how much is in there, it has about 30% less. So what was 16 ounces at one point is now about 11 to 12 ounces. You're paying the same for it, right? It's still the $6 that it has been, but you're getting less product. That's inflation. Look, guys, you don't need to be scared of it. You need to be prepared for it. Okay? Wages are going up, not fast enough, but I can tell you this, in my lifetime, 1969, 1970, we had inflation due to a construction worker strike. We had inflation, we had actually something called stagflation through the 1970s. Stagflation is our next video, so tune in next week. We had inflation in the 1980s. Think about this. In 1984-ish, 85-ish, you could put money in a certificate of deposit at the bank and get 13%. Now, if you do the rule of 72, that tells you that about every 5 years your money's going to double. Actually, less than that, about every 4 years it's going to double, okay? We might see that again. If you're a person who wants to put money in a CD at the bank, and whereas right now it's about 0.4%, you can get 13, inflation isn't bad in every aspect. It's bad if you're the person doing the buying. It's really bad if you're in debt, because if you've never read that credit card agreement, and you know you haven't, it says we can raise that interest rate anytime we want to. And if the banks aren't making enough money, who are they going to go to get the money? You. So what may be a 14.99% interest rate today, literally by the end of this year could be 29.9. That's where the bad side of inflation comes in. Currently, the consumer price index number is 8.3%. I don't know where they get that number because gasoline's up well above that. Diesel fuel, did you know diesel fuel is a byproduct of making gasoline? Did you know that that semi-truck that you try to avoid on the interstate carries about 220 gallons of diesel fuel? So if diesel fuel is $5 a gallon and there's 220 gallons, do the math. It's $1,000+ to fill that up, and they fill them up about every day to day and a half. And if you're in California, diesel fuel is over, I saw it today, diesel fuel is now higher in California than the average minimum wage of the United States. Go figure. If everything you touch in a day, everything is hauled by a truck at some point in its life cycle. I used to be in the trucking industry. I know this, okay? Therefore, if it costs more to run that truck, eventually the price of running that truck is going to be passed on to the product, which eventually goes to you. It's kind of like a hidden tax, right? Again, do not be afraid of it. Plan for it. Inflation, is it going to get worse? I don't know. Is it going to get better? Yes. I don't know when. I don't have the answers for that, but I do know this. It's all about money. Learn to control your money so your money doesn't control you. Prepare for emergencies. Prepare for times like this because, folks, this is not the last time you're going to see inflation. I'm not going to get into the reasons for inflation. It is what it is. We have to live with it. Don't freak out. Inflation is very simple. Decrease in purchasing power of currency. And we could talk about the Fed releasing too much money into the economy. We could do all that. There's lots of reason for inflation. If you want to have that discussion, I'll give you 15 minutes of my time. Give me a call at 816-841-9141. Check us out on the web. You can even chat with us on there. You can text us at the phone number, but you can chat with us on the web. That is wcf-kc.com. You can check us on social media. Send us a message. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you have not checked our YouTube channel, you need to do that right now because it was good before. It's getting better and better and better. So that's it. Reach out. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.